Good morning. NHL Seattle and Seattle Monorail Services are expected to announce a significant partnership later on this morning to improve the World's Fair era train and include ridership costs in game tickets. It is part of the first phase in the new franchise's transportation plan to get fans in and out of the new arena at Seattle Center. Sources close to the franchise say the plan will include another capital investment from NHL Seattle involving millions of dollars to upgrade the Westlake Monorail station. That money will be used to improve the monorail platform, ticketing, and provide additional elevator access. The idea has long been floated as a potential solution to avoiding the Mercer mess and congestion points around the Seattle Center. The monorail was built back in 1962 to move people between downtown and the center. It is also a few floors above the Westlake station, which has existing light rail access. Northgate will be connected to that spot by 2021, with the East Side, Federal Way, and Linwood all expected to be connected by 2024. The subsidized transit pass, which will be part of season and single game tickets, will be a first for Seattle and is believed to be a rare element in North American professional sports. The new franchise will play in the new arena in 2021. Full details on the hockey team's transit plans are going to be unveiled at a 10 a.m. press conference later on this morning. We'll have full details throughout the day on our King 5 platforms. But for now, in the newsroom, I'm Chris Daniels, King 5.